Hi everyone, welcome to the 2016 YFS election debates hosted by Excalibur. This is where we talk to the presidential candidates as well as the other candidates over the course of the coming few days to ascertain their views on a number of policies and questions really affecting the York University community. What we're going to do today is we're going to chat with the candidates. I'm going to be giving them a list of questions to answer, and we hope to get your feedback on all our social media and to get the conversation going. So without further ado, we should get started. I have here a list of questions for all the candidates, and I think it's fair that we start with the biggest one at York, which is BDS. So I would first, I want to go through every candidate. Let's get a brief introduction, who you are, your slate name, all your sort of details, and then we can dive right in. So let's start with Chenthoori.
So my name is Chenthoori Malankov. I'm a daughter of the Tamil diaspora. I sit in front of you with experiences from my community and my ancestors, and I'm here running in the YFS elections this year to be the next, hopefully, the next presidential candidate with the Team Student Action.
Great.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Melissa Calanza. I'm a public policy major, and I'm also minoring in international development studies. In this year's elections for the YFS, I'm running as the president position, and I'm with the team LIFT.
Hey y'all, my name is Gurdeep Singh Jagpal. I'm double majoring in law and society history, and I am running as president as an independent candidate.
Great. So really, I think it's not a surprise that my number one question at the top of my list is BDS. It's probably the most well-known, most controversial issue at York. So going in the same order, can I get your stance on BDS? What is your stance on BDS?
Awesome. So like we mentioned, the YFS currently passed the motion for the boycott, divestment action in 2005 that was signed by 5,000 petition students that took that initiative, took it forward, and it was student-run initiative. So our stance is pretty clear. We do stand in solidarity with the Palestinian folks that are currently, their land is being occupied. So that is very clear with the YFS.
Okay.
So BDS is obviously a sensitive and concerning issue that affects many students on campus. But as a student union, the YFS is here to represent all the student body, all individuals. We are here, we support freedom of expression, but we think that there should be an open dialogue, a respectful one, a safe space where both parties, both groups can come and share each other's points of view.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Well, my personal views on this is that York University, personally, we should not be investing in weapons. So it does not even for the issue about the apartheid or anything. It's just the fact that, think about it like this. We're investing in weapons to get scholarship money. Is that the money you want to get scholarship with? Is it money just in any place? Not even say if it's in Palestine. Say in any country or any situation we're in. We are a university. And as a university, we're supposed to be investing in our students. We're supposed to be investing in our community. We're not supposed to be investing in weapons. So my stance on this is that we should not be investing on weapons.
Fair enough. I noticed that a few of you touched upon sort of the issue that it concerns many York students. I sort of wanted to get into that. In your opinion, should a student union be focusing on sort of really student-centric issues, like as little as, as local as student space, for instance, and food? I know that many students want a grocery store on campus. So would you say that a student union should focus on major issues like BDS, or should the focus be more on local issues?
Well, I like to say this thing though. BDS actually is a local issue because we are involved. We are paying tuition money towards investing in the weapons. So technically, our tuition money is going towards BDS as well too. So as a federation, we're supposed to be fighting towards issues that affect students, and this counts as one of them, because we cannot be having investment into weapons as well too. But we also got to be fighting for the issues that matter to students as well too. Like one issue that many people have is that they're worried about the study space. There's never enough study space in Scott Library or Stacy Library. And as a university, as you can all see, we're always constructing. And if we're always constructing, there's always new buildings that are going to come up. We got to make sure that when we lobby for new buildings as well too, we also got to lobby for initiative to have it more student-centered because we're paying for it with our tuition. We got to make sure that there's a more focus on what students want in the buildings too. And what a lot of students want, after asking many people around, is that they want to make sure that they have more study spaces, more open, accessible study spaces. So when we have more buildings come up, I want to make sure that there's more accessible study spaces.
Great. So do you want me to repeat the question?
Yes, please.
So do you think the student union should be focused on local issues like student space and the like, or should it also go after major issues like BDS?
So I think this question really addresses between international issues versus local student issues. So as a York Federation of Students, we are here to hear the concerns and issues of the individuals here on campus. And I think as a student union, our prime concern should be student issues, local issues. Yes, local student issues. But obviously, if an international issue affects them, then we would address it then.
Great.
Awesome. Is that all? Can I go?
Yes.
Yeah, awesome. Okay. So looking at the fact that when we talk about a student population, and understanding that York University is over around 55,000 students, and understanding that York University is one of the biggest commuter campus, and also understanding that we have a large population of international students, I think as a student union we need to be looking at international issues as well as local issues. I think if we are saying that we are representing all York University students, that does encompass students that are affected by BDS. As a person of color and as someone that has a family that has experienced genocide in Tamlulam, continuously not having a homeland and have lost family members due to genocide, I can stand in solidarity with people that are currently experiencing what it means to actually boycott, divestment, sanction, and understand, as my comrade Gurdeep said, in terms of the fact that we need to make sure that York University is divesting from unethical investments, because that has taken many lives. I'm not just talking about Palestine, I'm talking about every international issue that has currently affected genocide right now. Thank you.
Yeah, I noticed it was brought up that York is a very large community. That sort of ties into my next question, because if we have a large community, obviously there will be a very wide variety of views. So my next question is, as president, would you amend the bylaws and the Constitution to include a commitment to free speech and freedom of expression? I know that we've been embroiled sort of lately in this controversy of the mural, so maybe we can read it in light of that.
So you're asking if we
as president, would you pass amendments to the bylaws, to the Constitution, to include a commitment to free speech as well as freedom of expression?
Yeah, I mean, I think as students that go to York University, everybody has the right to freedom of speech and to do exactly what they should be. And just like you mentioned, the mural, art is a form of expression. Therefore, students are able, as a theater student, as myself, and as an artist, we all have forms of expressions. The camera folks behind here, all forms of expressions while I talk into the camera. And so I think everybody has the right to freedom of expression, and so that should be definitely something that if students want that and students are in demand for that, then that's definitely something that as a presidential candidate, I should be able to offer that for sure.
Interesting. And the same question for all the candidates.
I would say yes. I would amend the bylaws because freedom of expression should be an important thing to pass here at York University, because we are trying to foster a safer and an open environment here for students, for them to feel that they have the ability to express in any form they want and share that, but also keeping in mind not harming other people, but yes, I would.
Okay.
As we are Canadian Federation of Students Union member as well too, I would like to say that we should follow the charter on this type of issue, where when it comes to freedom of speech, we have freedom of speech because that is our right. So this is something that every student has a right. We can't take that away. So that's going to be there regardless. And there's also section 1 of the charter too, where it's also limiting based on reasonable causes. So we have right to freedom of speech as long as it's not offending someone else. This is what we're going to be fighting for. This is what we're going to continue fighting for. This is what the charter has given us. This is the right. So as a university, we're going to be fighting for our charter right.
How would you ensure the transparency and the integrity of the elections process?
Okay. Awesome. The elections process, as the YFS conducts it, is the way in which the Canadian government process is very democratic. If people have voted in the provincial and federal elections, it is open to everyone, and it is in a democratic process, so one member, one vote. And that's exactly how the YFS elections has been very transparent, to make sure that the CRO is somebody that we don't know, etc. And so thus far, as I've been involved this year in the elections, and when I ran, it has been transparency so far. So just continuing that process in a democratic manner.
Okay.
So obviously, yes, we should follow a democratic manner, but I believe there's an issue that needs to be addressed, which is accessibility. So having the elections provided online, so e-voting, accessibility is a big topic, and it affects both here on Kiel campus and Glendon as well. People who are disabled, who cannot reach campus, should be able to have that opportunity to vote online and have a fair chance in voting for the right person that they want.
Great.
For me personally, I'm going to compare this to how we have regular elections. When we have elections, we campaign, but we don't campaign right next to the polls. The polls are in a separate place, and we have our campaigning outside of the polls, like we go door to door, or we have it in public places. So for that reason, I'm going to argue that we should have, if we have a fair democratic process, we should have online, just because we shouldn't be campaigning right next to the poll where people are going to be voting. We have to have a separate place where people can vote and a separate place for campaigning. The university is our campaigning ground. So if we're going to have fair voting, we need to have voting where it's separate from the campaign place.
So I noticed that in promotional materials posted by candidates, the word lobby and lobbying comes up. So how would you quantify the success of any lobbying actions that you would undertake? How would you see if what you're lobbying for, if York Admin, for instance, is listening to you? How would you quantify that?
Well, the way I think that we will be able to have a more successful lobby is to make it more known and more open. So I think we need to be more transparent with what we're trying to show what we're trying to lobby for, right? So if we have an issue, say, towards a sexual assault policy at York, like the administration, there was this grade during June 30th in 2015. She had an issue with the fact with how the sexual policy was treating her. She had to go through 15 different people and give a lot of details, which is a really embarrassing policy. Now they're having issues towards that, and now there's a human rights case towards that, right? If we're going to lobby towards an issue for that, right, we have to make sure that the university knows that we're fighting for the students' right? So you got to be able to administrate towards them. But at the same time, if we want to be able to get this through, we also have to let the students know as well too. We have to make sure it becomes an issue. So if we're going to lobby for this, we got to have it more well known. We got to get have more awareness, so that way a lobby will get through as well too, and have more involvement.
Okay.
So obviously with lobbying, in order to lobby an issue, you have to renounce it first. It has to be an issue that concerns the majority of students on campus. And in order for you to make that change happen, you need to get the support. So for instance, lobbying, we're lobbying Team Lift. We're lobbying for a $99 TTC pass. And in order to do that, we have to initiate conversations, discussions with the TTC, and collaborate with all the universities in the GTA to gain their support and to push forward that initiative.
So when looking at lobbying as the current Vice President campaigns and advocacy of the York Federation of Students, and with some of the experiences that I've gained, there is the campaign cycle that I would use: educate, agitate, and organize. Making sure that students on this campus are first of all aware of what is actually happening, and because as a student union we are not together with the administration, so it's basically making sure what students are aware of and what is the concern and what's happening on this very campus. Making sure that they're aware, educating them, and absolutely after that lobbying and organizing or occupying spaces that are rightfully for students and by students. So making sure that students on this campus are known and what they're fighting for, and so one of the things that I will be lobbying for with the university is fighting for a full 5-day fall reading week, making sure that any student that has mental health issues, or whether it's to de-stress, whether it's to study for an exam, they are well prepared for a fall reading week, because 2 days is not enough for students, and students, as a student leader, we need to advocate that for students.
Okay. So my next few questions are really, to conclude, will be open-ended. So I was wondering if I could get a sense of what are your thoughts on the biggest issues facing students? So what would you say are the three biggest issues facing students, in your opinion?
Are we starting this way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just to vary it up a little.
Awesome, yeah. I think one of the things is safety on campus. So currently I have the privilege of sitting on the Sexual Assault Policy Committee that Gurdeep was talking a little bit about earlier, so I'm going to bring that back up. Oftentimes students don't know what security has input on, what the administration has input on, and what student leaders are doing. So I think it's very, very important to make sure that your community is aware of what's happening on campus. And thus far, because of student leader initiatives, our York University Security Bulletin has gotten 10,000 times better, which I'm proud to say that it was student-run, student-led, and student organized, which I'm very, very happy to say that, because the entire committee has, I think, about few administrators, and mostly all student-run by all 5 community service group representatives that is represented by the YFS currently. So you said 3, right? Awesome.
Top 3.
Top 3. I think tuition is another one. Oftentimes, students in Ontario pay the highest amount of tuition fees, and international students pay double the amount than what local students pay. And I think we not only need to freeze the fee, but we need reduction. We need to make sure that students that are coming on campus, education is accessible. As a person of color, like I mentioned before, I am the first person from my family to be able to be in an education system. So for me to sit in front of you today and to be on a debate, or to be even in this position to even run as a candidate for president, it speaks volume to my community, and it speaks volume to my family. So this in and of itself, in this very moment, is an honor. I would like to take that moment to acknowledge that. And I think lastly, thirdly, one of the biggest issues on this campus for students are the fact of mental health. There is not enough accessible resources for students, especially as a marginalized woman of color suffering currently from mental health issues. There is not enough resources. The amount of times that I had to have barriers along the way to get to where I am today, or to support students along my process of being a student leader and also suffering from mental health issues, is a severe problem. And I come from a community where mental health is not talked about. I come from a place where oftentimes mental health is stigmatized. How can we change the conversation around mental health? How can we make sure that Bell Let's Talk is not the only day that we talk about mental health? How can we make sure that there's not enough suicide rates? Because oftentimes university students that come on this campus are pre-diagnosed with mental health issues, and there's not enough voices on this campus to voice that. We need to make sure as student leaders that these students on this campus feel safe enough to talk about their mental health issues, to walk to their car at night, and to make sure that university experiences is the most accessible on this campus. And that is what I have to say about that. Thank you.
Thank you.
So in my opinion, I think the 3 most biggest issues on campus. So one would be mental health issues. So what Team LIFT would do is we want to create a mental health and wellness center, centralized in the core, in the student center. And this would provide students a peer-to-peer support, a support group where individuals can go talk about their issues, because that really makes a big difference. Venting your issues out, having someone to talk about them, really de-stresses everything that you're going through. And these individuals who will be trained in safe talk, will be trained in active listening, will help the other individuals in that. So it's not professional counseling, but they would be also aware of the services on campus to direct individuals if needed so. And this will help prevent individuals from actually reaching to that point where they need to see CDS, the Counseling, Disability, and Services on campus. And CDS, even that, you get in right away for your first time, but then after that, talking to other students on campus, after your first appointment, you have to wait several weeks before you can get another one. And there's also a limit to that as well. After several appointments, they have to refer you to outside of campus. So having that mental health and wellness center centralized on campus will definitely help students de-stress and cope with all of their issues that they're going through. And we'd also provide workshops for mindfulness and yoga workshops. So the second issue that I'd like to address is tuition. Tuition in Ontario is one of the highest provinces in Canada that has the highest tuition rates. Each year, according to Statistics Canada, our tuition rates have been increasing by 3.3% each year, and only Newfoundland and Labrador is the only province that has a tuition freeze. So what we want to do is we want to first renounce the ever-increasing tuition rates here in Ontario at York University, and push forward for a tuition freeze. So tuition rates, that would be the second issue. And then lastly, the third issue would be food options on campus. So talking to many students on campus, you know, food options not only here at Keele campus, but also at Glendon. Glendon, I've been there and I've talked to students, and their food options there have been very limited. It's very limited. Lunic, I've been to Lunic. It's a student-run cafe. They have more variety, but it's still limited. So having more food options, healthier options, would help them a lot, and it would help them have a more productive learning experience as well, and also here on the Keele campus.
Alright, well, I'll be honest with you. It's really hard to do just three. After talking to a lot of students, every student, there's so many different variety of issues that have popped up that it's insane. Like, there's different things that affect different students. That's why we have to be more open about what we're gonna fight for. That's why we've got to be able to collect what every student wants to talk about, every issue, and then fight for that. So I guess I can split it up into three categories. The three categories will be this: and better investments, better policies, and better transparency and accountability. So what I meant by better policies, I was giving an example of better safety, right? Or better ways to achieve mental health. There are many things that can fall under this. But what I'm saying is, if we have better policies, it'll be easier for students to be able to access them. So, for example, just as I mentioned earlier about the example of Miss Gray and the sexual assault policy. Now, if you have to go to 15 different people and tell them what happened to you, you shouldn't have to go to 15 different people. That shouldn't be an issue in the first place. We have to fight for better procedures so that doesn't happen. Better transparency, better access. A lot of issues. This is a commuter school, and you know what a lot of students tell me? They tell me that they they just come to university and they go home. They don't like their experience here. You know why? That means because the university is not accessible to them. Some people enjoy the stuff that happens here, but I think we need to have more events. We need to be more open. We have to have more variety of different things that other students will want. Not everyone's into the same exact thing. Like, some people like Frosh Week, other people don't. But then that's the main thing that we go to, right, as an introduction. And some people have a great time at it, some people don't. We need better events that will be catered towards more students. Like, example, some people like pottery, some people like painting, some people like video games. We have a diverse background. We gotta start pushing for that as well, to have more events for students. And the last one I was talking was better investment. So we need to invest for students. So we shouldn't be investing, like, as I said, for BDS, we shouldn't be investing in weapons. Investing in stuff gives us a bad reputation, first of all, because at York University, we're going to be known as a university that's investing in weapons. That's not a great thing to have for us, right? We should be investing in our students, and we should be investing in local businesses instead of investing in weapons.
Cool. We got a chance to discuss a wide array of issues, and now we come to the conclusion. So just a brief closing statement from each of you. Let's start with Gurdeep.
I'm just going to go really brief. I'm going to say this. If you elect me for president, I promise you that I will work my hardest to be the most transparent and be very accountable for the issues that I have. And I will be very open with what I'm going to say. And I want to know what everybody else has an issue. Because I realize that many students have different variety of issues. And what I want to fight for is I want to fight for the most compelling issues that students find. So I want to know what all you guys have as an issue. And I want to know what we can do to help you.
So honestly, this president's title, like, I don't care about presidency, like the title, I mean. The title, the power. I'm here genuinely to bring positive, real change to York University. The team that I'm working with, honestly, they are hardworking and they do want to bring change and address the concerns that students have. Like, we are here. I'm here ready to listen. I'm here ready to take action and lobby for certain initiatives to create change on York campus. York, Kiel campus, and also Glendon as well. I think there's many great organizations, service groups, and there's so much potential to collaborate with them. And you can learn so much more through collaboration, through sharing each other's cultures and identities. And I'm here with Team LIFT to represent you if you vote for me for presidency.
My passion speaks for itself. I have been heavily involved in the York community as well as outside of the community. My passion to commit to end gender-based violence and to create a consent culture on this very campus goes a long way, and I look forward to working with students as my position as Vice President Campaigns and Advocacy, and if elected as your president, to make sure the conversations get to continue, because coming from communities such as mine, these positions of power in terms of presidency, like Melissa said, thank you for that, the title, it has nothing to do with that. These positions of powers were never made for us. So for me to just sit in front of you, like I mentioned before, just as a candidate, speaks volume as to how much dedication, how much work, and how far I've come to just for this position. And so I think it's my posters are on campus, my entire team, Student Action, is everywhere. We have committed to commit victories since last year, and this year as elected your Vice President Campaigns and Advocacy. And if you vote for the team Student Action on February 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, we are committed, dedicated, and hard workers to make sure that your voice is heard. Students United will never be defeated. Thank you.
Well, folks, that wraps up the first leg of our Excalibur 2016 YFS debates. These were the presidential candidates. We will return shortly with the VP Campus Life debates, and throughout the rest of this week, we will be interviewing all the other executive positions. Stay tuned.